Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I decided to once again create two different looks using two different palettes. This time is the same brand. It is Natasha Denona newest release, I Need a Nude palette, and last year's release, My Dream palette. I wanted to go through some facts when it comes to this palette. Maybe this will be helpful if you are thinking between one of these two palettes, which one would be better for you. Of course, that will depend on various factors, but I will do demonstration once again with each palette. I also, when it comes to my face, I did apply different products, different tones, just because these looks, even though I created trying to mimic same technique, the outcome came really different in my opinion. So without any further ado, let's just go first to see the swatches and then tutorial, and I'll see you with my final thoughts. And so here I have the swatch of the both I Need a Nude palette and the My Dream palette. The bottom row obviously is My Dream palette, and here you can see clearly the difference in the first and foremost in the color story. Now swatching the I Need a Nude palette, I realized we have one less matte shade, or whether it is cream to powder or just regular powder matte shade. Also, we do have differences here in the shimmers in I Need a Nude palette, but they really do feel like they are super close. Like I mentioned, the Lila is my favorite just because of the different reflex that it has. But here, like I mentioned again, the Black is Black multi-chrome, which right now is switching to, as I'm looking at it from here, super green. And as you can see right here, we don't have that much depth in here. We are starting from these shades. So I'm happy again to see my Mini Dream palette being different depths with this texture. With this shade right here as well. I also had issues swatching I Need a Nude palette. It is really hard to swatch, like the pigment is not grabbing. But again, like I mentioned in my video, the only important thing is how it performs on the eyes. If you're going to use your finger, I don't think that's gonna be helpful. But when you pick the product on a brush, like I say, it really does grab the product without a problem. My eyebrows are done. I have my base, and also before I start, I did use the Myrick's Tourmaline pomade right here on the edge, because today I wanted to have an extra intensive makeup look. So I will start this side with the I Need a Nude palette. Now generally for this type of a looks, I do prefer having light underneath my eyebrow, which unfortunately this shade right here, Fair, is not too light for that. Maybe during summertime that will change for me, but unless you're having deeper skin tone, I don't see this one doing anything light, because yeah, it does pull like rosy undertones. So I'm gonna just use, well, not too much. I still wanted to keep this really light. Not too happy with it. Still, it is better than, when it comes to lights, than My Dream palette, because that one does not have any light shades. But in saying that, my Mini Dream palette does have one, and I'm currently waiting for that palette to arrive. Cannot wait to swatch that one, and that will be a great extension of this one. Okay, right now what I want to do is to use that Fair shade in my inner corner, and I think it's going to work fine here. Yeah, now you see how pigmented this one is. It really does get pigmented, you guys. Yeah, it is pretty orangey pink undertone, depending on where do I apply it. Okay, let's leave this as it is. My darkest shade here will be Silhouette. I really do love this shade. Take the excess off. I'm not sure if this is going to be dark enough for what I want. I wish I have black eyeshadow, which we do have in the other palette. And I will keep that shade pretty low. I will not go super high. I just wanted to seal this pomade with this shade. Again, I do love the undertone. I really do. I mean, it's going to, like, it is really dark. It is really dark. For maybe, probably for many of you, this is going to be even too intense. But in general, when I talk about intensity of a makeup, what I do is just apply a lot of the depth, which includes, of course, black eyeshadow for the most part. And right here, I am applying some shade on my lower lash line right away. Yeah, and we'll clean the edges of my small blending brush. And why I am doing this is because now when I blend, if I have anything on my edges, any excess, and it's dark color, it will transfer and it will ruin what I'm doing. So I just want to make sure that I have the product on the tip of my brush. And one thing that I do a lot is that I always do take the excess off, and I make sure that a product is on my brush exactly when I need it to be. I will use a bit bigger blending brush and just go around the edges. And this is what I have at the moment. Do I want to go? Yeah, I want to apply a little bit more just in case. I'll probably come back later again. But in saying that, I just want to make sure that everything is kind of sealed. Next to the silhouette, I am taking shade Tender. And when you think about it, with all of these mattes, we have a pretty big jump, because the next lighter shade from this one, talking about the mattes, is this Tender or Vague shade. Everything else is lighter than this, but if you include shimmers, you have more variability when it comes to that. You see where the shade is ending, and I am following that edge and applying that shade next to that one. But now when I think about it, when it's swatched, I mean when it's on the eyes, when it's blended, it's pretty deep, so it works great. It's just a reminder that sometimes what you see in a pan, it's not reflecting always the way we think on the eyes. That being said, depending on your skin depth, skin tone, anything can change. I can see this particular palette, if you are way deeper in a skin tone, the undertones can pull way differently on you than on me. And also not if you are having deeper skin tone, but if you're having, of course, different undertone. So those are all of the factors that we have to include. A lot of that will come from that fact when it comes to experience. I want to take clean blending brush and that shade right here. And blending here is going really nice. Now the next shade I'm going to take is shade Vague, but I'm actually gonna take small blending brush, and as you can see, I do have quite a fallout in my pan. And I want to connect everything here. Taking clean brush, I'm thinking this one is a bit darker for this area right here. I'm gonna go with the shade Wit. That one is a lighter version of the previous one, but also you can use either shade Stone or Mesh, which would perfectly combine with what we already have on the eyes. You know what? Just because of the color story, I decided to go with the different eyeshadows instead. I think we're safe to continue, and I will continue with the Stone shade. Now Stone and Mesh are looking quite similar, but actually practical when you see the difference. The Stone one is darker, but we'll see how much darker actually it is on the eyelid. I applied a lot, and it feels like once I reapplied it, it kind of, in the meantime, it oxidized. But this one transitions really nicely with the previous shade, you guys. It's looking pretty good. So Stone combined with Tender, beautiful. If you exclude this Silhouette shade, which is way darker, you can get pretty beautiful medium daytime look. with a combo of those two. Like even these, for me, on my skin tone now when I think about it, they are leaning a little bit more like, they're not peachy, but just the undertone leans a little bit towards that, I guess. And I wanna apply this really high. Now, Mesh, which is a lighter, it's gonna go here. And to fill everything in between the lightest shade right here, which was Fair, which we applied in the beginning, and everything else that we have in here. And if I would leave this like this, it's just with the mattes, it's looking nice. Stone shade again. And once I reapply that, it gets a little bit lighter, and then when you blend it in, it becomes what it's supposed to be. And I will also apply it a little bit on the edges of this dark shade so that it can blend into my skin. And I'm just gonna use a bigger blending brush. Now what I do miss and what I wanna do reapply is Tender shade. Again, clean brush, because this is pretty dark color. Now what I wanna do for my lower lash line, just reapplied a little bit of my base, and right now I'm going back with the Fair shade in the beginning. Going back with a Tender shade, and that one, I'm focusing that one on the other portion of my eye. A little bit of the Stone shade in the middle of my lower lash line. And I'm going to use Mesh, which will, well, it's supposed to blend everything better into my skin before I move on later with the concealer underneath to, once again, clean everything. You can definitely leave this look like this, but I will go and use shimmers, and Delilah is one of my favorite shimmers from this palette, and I will apply a little bit fixing spray, and right where my light ends towards the deeper shades, I am going to use that one. A complaint that I had with this palette was when it comes to shimmers, I wish we had a little bit more different variations when it comes to the undertones of these shimmers. I'm going to use Sheen shade here. This one is kind of more of a transparent and more of a topper, just in my inner corner. But then to connect this between Sheen and Delilah, I'm tempted to use this Muse shade. This one feels the kind of a crunchy shade, and I really like to warm this one before I even apply it. I'm just going to apply it a little bit with my finger, not too much. This one is really strong. But you know what? It goes really nicely on top of the Delilah shade. And now I need a brush to just connect all of this. Okay, this Sheen color is picking up really nicely with the brush. Some of them will pick up nicely, some of them won't, and will be applied the best with the finger. Yeah, but I feel like it is too orangey with the Sheen. So that means I need to switch more to a Muse shade. You know what? I applied Mia shade. This one is, again, I think this one is a new formula in this palette. And also this one, it's more like a topper, which I can use right here a little bit as well, underneath my eyebrow. I want to go back to Delilah and make that one even more intense and lift that shine even higher. And I'm using flat brush right here. And to deepen up with the shimmer, I Also love this shade Filigree, which is the deepest shimmery shade in the palette and works pretty nice with the matte silhouette, which I have here. I will also repeat this on my lower lashes, and the lilac looks beautiful right here. I will apply some liner and I will be right back. As I did apply a little bit liner and basically finish off this side, we are going to switch to a My Dream palette. Obviously, since this has been launched over a year ago, I've been a bit more familiar with the formulation and the color story and everything when it comes to this one. But in saying that, I'm thinking, what am I going to do today with this one? I feel like I want to use Vision, which is multi-chrome. First, I'm gonna start to set the same shape and the same product that I have on my eyelid, which is from Danessa Myricks. I feel like I'm gonna have a fallout. So this is Black as Black. This is my favorite black eyeshadow, not only from Natasha Denona at the moment, but in general. One before this that I also loved, but it's been a while ago and I don't have that one anymore, was the shade Corrupt, I think it was, from the Makeup Geek. I really loved that one as well. I felt that one was a little bit more kind of harsher in a formula. This one, I can't stress enough how important this one for me is, how pigmented. As you can see, this one is like, this is all I need in a black eyeshadow. I definitely wanted super matte, but what happened, I didn't clean properly. My brush was clean from the pigment, but the whole, like these small particles from I Need a Nude stayed here, so I need to go again. I'm taking a bit bigger blending brush and I'm going to work around the edges. I reapplied my base as well, just because it has been sitting for a while, and usually when I do makeup I'll have to do one step at a time each eye, but of course when I'm doing two different eye looks then the situation is different, and I always love for my base to be fresh. I'm reapplying the eyeshadow again. I just also want to connect this on my lower lash line just to see where I'm at. And because I am working with black eyeshadow, I want to have a little bit more manipulation when it comes to edges. So I'm using a bit harsher bullet brush. I can always go back when it comes to this. I want to go with the shade Edgy, and because this is a specific formula, I cannot use my blending brush. I really need to press in, connecting this one with the black one. And now I really want to connect this one to the black one, and it's blending together really nicely. This one is really pigmented and I will lift this one and higher. Yeah, when I pick a formula like this with a blending brush, it's just, see how inconsistent it is? Versus when I take specific pointy or brush that is a little bit more flat, and then I go on top with the blending one. It's better. This is super pigmented, you guys. I decided to go once again with the Edgy shade, and the pigment, you guys, oh, it is insane, insane. Okay, let me go with a little bit of Instinct, which is actually the same formula. This one is even a bit more vibrant. And now I am going in with the Edgy again, just to deepen up everything once again. I would say that for the mini, my personal desire for this palette would be either Instinct or Edgy extended version for this palette. I really would like to have another choice for these beautiful plummy shades. Now I'm just going to, with my finger, going in with the Vision. I think I prefer this formula even more than the one in the new mini version of Triachrome palette. Okay, the rest I need to do with a flat brush. And of course, in order to see full multichrome, you do need to spread it as much as you can throughout the eyelid, because that is the only way you're going to see all of the shifting within the multichrome. Going back with the Edgy, kind of blend everything right here. I wanted to mention how number one fact about this palette is, what I love is how versatile this one it is. So I included this one in my favorite fall eyeshadow palettes. Also in general, when it comes to ranking, this one always can get really high because of the color story, of the quality. But there is one thing that I wanted to discuss, and I, in a way, was kind of shocked to see different experience. In my one of the latest comparison videos, so I was discussing about different formulation between Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona. So I would say in general, in my experience, not only with me, but with my clients and everything, I would say those are brands, for example, that are, in my opinion, high quality. Of course, from time to time, we do see certain disbalances for various reasons, right? But I was shocked to see certain responses. For example, Natasha Denona being, oh, I'm just gonna use Natasha, Pat doesn't even come to can't even compare to this one, or vice versa. Like Natasha's eyeshadows, they fade. No matter which one I tried, it always fades, it's not quality. And like, I can understand, again, having certain disbalances from time to time, but to have that type of variables, honestly caught me by surprise. And obviously, I'm trying to get to the bottom of that issue. In a sense, it is something with the product itself. It is maybe the way that certain individual applies makeup in a different way. So, and of course it's possible for someone to get bad batch or something happen bad with the product itself, but that's not technically possible if the person, for example, bought an eyeshadow palette, you know. So my point overall, why I'm saying this is, it just caught me by surprise how certain product or certain brands, time after time, for somebody is 100%, and for somebody else is like, no, not at all. Like, it's not working, no matter what I try, what I do. Like, what is it? Again, I'm just trying to figure, like, if something worked for me. It's not that I'm defending the brand. I'm just trying to figure, is there anything else maybe that I can help you with, so that you as well can have different experience with the brand or with a certain product. Because even if I put my personal preferences aside, like, for example, color story, if certain, let's just say that this is my preference, and this maybe not, then if the color story is something that will appeal to you, and if the quality is good, I really want to help you, for you to, you know, make it work. If I see that something definitely has a potential to be really, really great. And that is one of the reasons why I come back to the certain products, and it is good. It is really good to give it another shot when it comes to testing, not just first impressions, not just create a look or two. I get that a lot of the times that is not the case, including me, right? But in a way that helped me to know the product, certain product, even more, you guys. No matter if I'm talking about concealer or if I'm talking about eyeshadow palette or whatever. Just thinking, what should I apply in my inner corner here? Wow, you know what? I wish now we have something really light for the inner part right here. Can you see the shifting? I hope you can. I don't know, the baby's shade is really beautiful as well. But I'm gonna go in with the Thrill, which is kind of a shifting shade. Yes, this one is super, super reflective. For me, this one, even though we have depth, but it felt like too flat in all those mid-tones. Okay, we do have different finishes, but one thing that I really appreciated within the Xenon palette was light and depth. And when I saw that, I'm like, that's all I need. When I asked for the light and depth to create so many variables, even though, again, the color story may seem to be like a lot of kind of a grayscale. I will go with Thrill in my inner corner as well. Yeah, I wish I had something else. But also I'm gonna use Vision right here just to match everything. Okay, I will apply some lashes and also right here just a thin liner on this eye, and I will be right back. I thought I'm gonna create kind of a more similar looks when it comes to depth, but yeah, you can clearly see the difference. As I'm filming this, I am on Natasha Denona's website, and these are priced at the same price. But I Need a Nude palette is out of stock when it comes to Natasha Denona's website. I think that's due to the fact that we do have, since 2 days ago, she started up to 35% off her holiday sale. My Dream palette is still available. The biggest difference, I would say, when it comes to formulation, as clearly you can see the difference in depth. I could have achieved more depth with this side if I went to the darkest shades inside in my inner part of my eye, guys. Because we're having cream to powder with matte effect formula, that formula, it's a bit harder to work with, but that's my favorite formula. Not because it's hard to work with, but because of the effect. I do love when the product, sometimes depending on what I'm doing, when the product is really, really pigmented, and this one certainly is that. Also, like I mentioned, my favorite black eyeshadow as well. I do love this multichrome. This is not like my favorite texture of the multichrome to use, but considering this is a pressed formula, I do love it. And it's not emphasizing my skin texture as some others multichromes that they are like really, really foily, chunky, and they don't look good on a skin, especially if it's leaning more toward mature skin. Overall, I think if you want to have more of a punch of a color, more variability, go for this palette. I know we don't have any lights in here, but if you are more on a neutral side, of course, like the palette says, and more glammed side, of course, you are probably gonna go with this one. But the fact here is that these undertones, you have to pay attention. These certain tones in this palette, I'll say besides like the safe one, which is Silhouette, these are most likely to work or to appeal so different based on skin depth and skin undertones on certain individual. I like the formula equally, but I feel like these are much more softer in a sense of pigment, and when it comes to powders and mattes, I feel like they are hardly pressed, but still, like when I want to do a swatch, I'm not happy, but when I pack my brush into the product, I can get a lot of the product, which at the end of the day It is what it's important. It's not about the swatch, it's how it's performing and what we can get with this. I really liked this transition. Sorry, what it was the transition between tender and stone. It really looked nice, in my opinion, the matte. So even if you're wearing that without these shimmers or toppers, I think that will be really, really nice for, even if you're going to work, like you can smoke out a little bit your eyes and to emphasize them and not being too crazy, you know. But this side, this palette has more variables. Like I mentioned, one of my favorite fall palettes, but at the same time, if I want to create something much more edgy and that has like that really strong statement, I would go with this. Like this combination, this is state of art. I really like the combo that she came up with this multi-chrome and then with this instinct and edgy shades. You just cannot go wrong with this combination. And then if you want to add a black to just make everything even more stronger in opacity. Obviously, she also has her newest formula in this palette, which we don't have in this one. But I still do love these lighter shimmers. I feel they are beautiful, but these shades Mia and Sheen, these are like more of a toppers and they do really nicely, they go nicely on the skin, almost as if you can use them as a highlighter, how light they are. The one that is the most punchy in this palette will be the shade Muse. It's a bit more crunchier and it reminds me, yeah, this is like, it's a shimmery glittery version of the cream to powder mattes, if that makes any sense, like in pigmentation, how strong it is. Both of these palettes are made in Italy with a 24-month shelf life. And I do like the fact that we have more than a year when it comes to using these palettes once they're opened. I hope, you guys, that this was helpful in any way. Drop the comments down in the comment section down below if you have any comments. Right now, I am expecting my mini dream palette. I'm really excited about that one. Even though when I saw the color story, more reminded me like extension of a Nude palette than this one. I understand, like literally she took one shade and just made the other shades out of it. And I'm happy that we're finally going to have the extended version of this palette with a lighter shade. So we'll see about that one. Hopefully the formula will be good. I really did enjoy her last 5-pan eyeshadow palette, which was a mini triochrome palette. The one was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Anyways, if you are enjoying this type of content, please make sure to subscribe, as it helps to spread out these videos to more people and to help the growth of this channel. And I cannot wait to hear your thoughts when it comes to these certain palettes. Have you tried them? Or if you are thinking about buying one, I just hope this was helpful for you. I will see you guys really soon in my next video. And yeah, I just realized this is the last video that I'm filming in this year, I think. Yeah, that's right. So no matter where you are, you guys, I wish that you have amazing time with your family and friends or wherever you are waiting for the new 2024 year. And I hope that one will be, of course, the most exciting year so far for each one of you. And I guess I'll see you in the 2024. Thank you for watching. Bye.